What's up guys, Starlink here, and today on this episode of the Indie Watch, I wanted to take a quick look at a game that a lot of people might sweep under the rug a bit, and considering all the big games that we've been releasing lately, it's to be expected, right? Also, it doesn't help the fact that the first game in this series didn't quite live up to the expectations of a lot of people. But I'm here to tell you today that its sequel, Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair, is a lot better than you might first expect. Let's take a look. So like many others out there, I was very skeptical about this game at first. After all, the first Yooka Laylee borrowed heavily from the N64 collectathons of the past, and it didn't quite turn out like everyone was expecting in the end. So when it became known that its sequel, The Impossible Lair, was going back even further in time to the Donkey Kong Country trilogy on the SNES for inspiration, everyone was just a little bit on edge, including myself. Was Playtonic Games going to soil the history of these classic games next, we thought? Well, it certainly doesn't seem that way to me at least. Much like Retro Studios did with the Donkey Kong Country Returns and its sequel, Tropical Freeze, The Impossible Lair sparks new life into a series that desperately needed a shot of adrenaline. The Impossible Lair feels very much like a Rare title that we would have gotten in the mid-90s, much like the first game, which isn't too surprising really considering the majority of the staff from Playtonic Games consist of former Rare employees. Now the controls get the job done for the most part, which is important for any platformer. The only real problem I had is that you have to hold the jump button down before you land on an enemy, release, and then press again before you hit another enemy. You can't just hold the jump button down and continue to launch off enemies like you could in the older DKC games. It's a little frustrating at first, but you get accustomed to it pretty quickly, and if you're coming from the Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze games, you'll feel right at home because it does the same thing, basically. Couple that same platforming magic you know and love with some fantastic music performed by legends Grant Kirkhope and David Wise, and you have a recipe for success. I mean, just listen to this track and tell me you don't feel those heavy Donkey Kong Country vibes here. Now returning from the previous game, the various Playtonics that you find throughout the hub level add a nice way to tweak your abilities, making things just a little bit easier, or just to do silly things like changing filters, etc. They don't really benefit you at all, but it's a great feature and it can be fun experimenting with certain combinations. Now I'm going to go off topic for just a moment here, but as I was playing this game, I was thinking to myself, if Inafune crawled out of whatever hole he's been hiding under lately and actually put some effort into a game that wasn't a crowdfunded mess like Mighty No. 9 was, I'd be willing to listen. Now this may be an unfair comparison because the first Yooka Laylee didn't turn out near as bad as the mediocrity that was Mighty No. 9. But if Playtonic Games can turn a game around, then so can Concept, or as they're now known as since Level 5 acquired them, Level 5 Concept. But I digress. Overall, only 5 hours in, I'm enjoying Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair a lot more than I thought I would. It's a great platformer that should not be passed by if you have any love for the Donkey Kong Country games of old. This hit me in the nostalgia like a punch to the gut, and you know what? I'm okay with that. So I was kind of taken on by surprise on how much I've been enjoying Yooka Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Now to tell you the truth, I enjoyed the first game to an extent despite its flaws. Granted, I never invested in the Kickstarter campaign, and I only spent like 10 or 15 bucks on a PS4 copy when it went on sale. I mean, it dropped down in price really quickly, but I definitely got enjoyment out of that 10 or 15 bucks for sure. But anyways, I understand why it didn't live up to a lot of people's expectations. But the Impossible Lair definitely feels like it's the right direction for Playtonic to go with the series moving forward. I mean, I was really getting those Donkey Kong Country vibes here. I really loved it and you should definitely check it out. But anyways guys, as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like or dislike if you didn't. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching and I'll see you all in the next one. Reach for the stars. All right, now I need to go to the bathroom really quickly because you may not have noticed, but there is an eyelash in my eye and it's bugging the piss out of me.